occasions when an event is both a success and a failure, some strange mixture of our best aspects and our feelings, good intentions, and even actions that could have been more. I collect verses and ideas from various religions. One that is important in my life, although I sometimes find I can't live up to it, is in Matthew of the Christian Bible. Jesus speaks of a time to come when those who have served others in need will be separated from those who did not act when the opportunity of service presented itself. The king will reply, I tell you the truth, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. Hi, she said. You could feel the enthusiasm and happiness in her voice. I squatted on my haunches so I could look at her face to face as she sat in her wheelchair. As I knelt, she reached out her hand and clasped mine with both of her aged parchment-skinned hands. She had a firm and steady grip. We always held hands through our conversations, something I admit made me feel a bit awkward. How are you today? I said. I am very good, she beamed, and she emphasized the word very. And I'm so happy to see you, she said, emphasizing the word so. Her hair was white, shoulder length, and she had a strong, highly wrinkled face. Some would say she must have been beautiful when she was younger. I would say that her beauty has evolved. It has become beauty without pretense. She had striking eyes, sapphire blue in color. The unusual color of her eyes made me think of my mother's own unusual eyes. A mother also languishing in a nursing home 1,000 miles away. My mother's eyes are a pale ice blue, at the opposite end of the blue spectrum from those before me now. In a handful of conversations with this woman, at times she had been perfectly coherent, and at times she is not. That day she was remarkably coherent. We chatted for a few minutes. The weather she always loved, whatever weather was visible outside, her family and friends. All questions here were met with varied, indistinct answers. Perhaps she had no family, or did not remember them, or they lived 1,000 miles away. The flowers and the plants nearby, she obviously loved greenery, as does my own mother. Since I moved away from the area where my mother lives, I have felt guilty about not visiting due to finances and a new job, and there are always excuses. People tell me, don't feel bad, we know you love her. Even though there are other family members near my mother and they visit, I do feel bad. I feel guilty. The reality is that in her hinterland of Alzheimer's, she would not know if I visited or if I did not. But I know. And it grieves me not to be able to visit that earthy, kind woman who was and is my mother in the fullest meaning of those mixed tenses. That is why when I travel for work, a job that encounters with healthcare institutions, I occasionally visit those in nursing homes. I ask the nurses what residents would like a visit or would like someone to read to them. It is not uncommon for the elderly, especially those with Alzheimer's, to be suspicious and untrusting of strangers, and I accept when that occurs. But sometimes connections occur, and although my visits are not frequent, connection has occurred with this woman. My mother was so reserved that I never heard her say, I love you, growing up, although I never doubted that I was loved. It was just not our habit as a family to say those personal things to each other, or hug, or show affection. Fortunately, I found a companion in this world, my wife, who was more demonstrative and helped me become more sharing with my own family. Even so, I am still not a touch person, and I have inherited my mother's reserved nature and sensibilities. I have, at least, with the influence of my wife, been able to tell my parents, my daughters, and my sister that I love them. But those are still words I reserve for only those closest to me. Not nieces, not nephews, not friends, not neighbors. Although there are those in those categories that I truly do love, I find myself unable to speak it. These visits are, I suppose, my small imperfect atonement for not visiting my mother. Instead, I visit someone else's mother or someone else's father. You seem distant, she said, squeezing my hand and bringing my thoughts back to focus on her. Oh, it's just life. I was thinking about life, I said. I have had such a wonderful life, she said. I thought about that. She was a woman who sometimes was perfectly lucid and sometimes almost incoherent. Again, I snuck in a thought of my mother, who unfortunately lacks any lucid times in her life. I thought about saying, "You are a fortunate woman," but I could not bring myself to say that because I was not sure I believed it. To occasionally be lucid and to have the self awareness and understanding that you are not always coherent may be the greater curse. Instead, I answered more generically. Life can have its wonders and its ups and downs. She smiled brightly and said, "Why, look at that flower, would you?" as she pointed to a pansy in the courtyard. They are one of my mother's favorite flowers. I'm so happy you came to visit me. She clasped my right hand between her hands firmly again and pressed the back of my hand against her lined cheek. She looked directly into my eyes for a length of time that made me uncomfortable, but I did not look away. "I love you," she said. I gripped her hand tightly and swallowed hard. "I love you too." I thought that, but I could not bring myself to say it. I patted her hand and gave her a squeeze and a hug around the shoulder. He will reply, "I tell you the truth. Whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. May God one day forgive me."